Back to that bombshell ruling out of a New York courtroom today. A court of appeals overturning ex-movie mogul Harvey Weinstein's 2020 rape conviction. The 4-3 decision found Weinstein's trial judge improperly allowed testimony based on allegations that weren't part of the case. Let's go ahead and bring in a chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes. So, Khalif, this is a huge decision from the highest court in New York. How did the judges say they arrived at that decision?
This is something that is really right down the line. And folks always have to recognize that there are two things that can happen. While, yes, it is true that there are a number of allegations that were alleged and that he did kickstart the Me Too movement, his taking down this larger than life figure from Hollywood in New York, both at the same time, having his conviction in LA, and then also being convicted in New York, sent shockwaves and allowed people that didn't have a voice to have a voice. But if you're going to prosecute someone as a criminal defense attorney, you do have to follow the rules. I remember when I was at my first start in the practice that my supervisor said, oftentimes we're just trying to make sure that the prosecutor doesn't do something that's outside the lines. And if they do, we call them out on it. And that's what happened here. His defense attorney said at the time of the conviction that we will appeal this because the judge got it wrong, that at some point they allowed testimony to come in that should not have come in. And for that reason only, we are going to appeal. The Court of Appeals in New York decided that that was the right thing to do, to say that there was a misstep by the trial judge. And whenever you have a misstep by the trial judge, it has to get sent back. And so now the DA's office can make an opportunity to say, you know what, we're maybe not going to retry him, or we're going to retry this case. And there's a number of things they have to consider when deciding if they're going to retry the case.
Well, so what do they have to consider if they think that this should go to a new trial?
Well, first of all, you got to look at who's making the decision. So Alvin Bragg, the guy that's right now prosecuting the former president, is the same person that will have to make a decision on if we're going to bring back this case. And so while on one hand you have the hundreds of victims that are saying, listen, I need to ensure that my case continues to go forward. His prosecution meant something to me. But on the other hand, you have to say, as a prosecutor, do I have the evidence? Do I have the witness testimony that can get a conviction? At the time of the trial, I used this witness. Well, why did they pick that person? Why did they attempt to get that witness testimony in? And why didn't they use some other testimony? Those same things that were contemplated at that time will now have to be contemplated now. And they'll have to say, well, maybe the evidence for those other folks were weak and the ones that we got in were the strongest. And now that's what the judge is saying we can't use. So there will be a lot of decisions that are made, but you can guarantee outside influences, things from real life victims, not just people that are on paper, but actual faces with names will have to be put into contemplation when they decide if they're going to come forward with a new case or not.
If you are a lawyer for one of the survivors, what are you saying to your client right now to potentially prepare them for everything that's going to be not only in the news, but the potential for a new trial?
What you're saying is, listen, I knew it took everything in you to go do this the first time. And you don't want to re-traumatize a person by even having to bring it up. But what you want to bring them home is saying that if you want to ensure that he is convicted and held guilty for the things that he did to you, we're going to have to do this again. If the state decides to bring this case again, the only way we get a conviction is by you telling your story one more time.
Yeah, and undoubtedly a very tough day for the lawyers and survivors involved in that. More to come on this, of course, but Khalif, thanks for your insight.